Well, a very warm welcome and fine evening indeed to Gaydon Land Rover Show 2018. It's going to be an epic show. We've got so many vehicles lined up, so many famous faces, all the elders are here, the legends. It's just monumental, and it's come together really in the last 2 or 3 months. It's just really built up momentum. It's superb. I'm going to be joined this evening by two very, very well-known Land Rover journalists and motoring journalists. On my right, I've got Dave Barker, of course,
Good
LRM.
evening.
And on my left, I've got Russ Brown, of course, LRO.
Good evening from me.
And everybody knows both of these gentlemen very well indeed, and boy do they know their Land Rovers too. So two fantastic experts. We're going to be joined in a little while by Dan Warden, who I think is eating chips at the moment, but that's fine. Join us when he's ready. But this show really has just built and built. Dave and Russ, you've both been working on it with me for quite some time in the background, discussing things, giving me ideas, mulling things over. It really has developed a bit of momentum, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've totally resurrected the show. It's been really good to see. I mean, you've been doing it? You've been back here about 3-4 years now.
Yeah, 4th year.
Yeah, and the buzz that I'm seeing on social media this year.
It's great. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's really going upstairs. It's great.
I like that, going upstairs. I think one of the funniest bits has been the cakes. that's
Yeah, the cake saga. Are you going to
music? Yeah.
Are you going to reveal all that now?
No, I think we'll leave that for the day, actually.
Okay.
That'll be on Sunday. Yes, Dave said the other one was music. We have actually got Beaten Track with this year, which is a little bit different for Land Rover shows. Really funky, and he's got himself a Defender. And his DJ name is Beaten Track. Liam Elliott is superb. So we're going to liven things up in the arena with that. It's all singing, all dancing. Roof lifts up, so he's going to be providing music. We've also got my favourite thing, which are a retro group of singers who are superb. But what we did, Dave, I think it's quite funny. When we started setting up, we thought, well, put out and see what tracks people want.
That you opened a can of worms, didn't you? You know, yes, tracks from the 60s, 50s, 60s.
It's brilliant.
Easy. And then, you've forgotten this, forgotten that, and then
Yeah.
somebody had the bright idea, there's this track mentioned the Land Rover,
Oh,
or this album
right.
cover's got a Land Rover on it, so it just escalated.
So that's going to
It was
turn
terrible.
into an article on its own right, I
Oh, it's
think.
got to, isn't it?
Super. But this
In fact,
year...
it will.
It's a new magazine, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have to get Frank
Absolutely, yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
Frank Else is
it's the
here,
new Land
yeah.
Rover music magazine. Definitely.
He's the man for it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
This year we've got Proper Posh. We have a programme. Yay! And we've got
Oh,
certificates
dear.
of merit. We've got all sorts going. And we've got so many people behind us as well. And it's been lovely to see people like 1948 Original Equipment. Of course, Andrew and Rob right behind it. We've got Land Rover Doors coming, which is for a very special assignment that we're going to be doing throughout the weekend. We think it's time this year particularly, and I think you both agree, we've talked it over, Land Rover from here on in is really going to change so significantly. We've had a series, we've had our Defenders, we've had our Range Rovers, our Discoveries. Now it's all beginning to change with the driverless cars, the electric cars. And not just Land Rovers, but motoring, I don't think will ever be the same again. Dave, you must have noticed this.
Yes, I mean, if you listen to what the so-called experts say, we won't be driving cars, the cars will be driving us, and that's not what we're about, is it? We drive a vehicle because we want to drive it. Yeah. It's not simply a thing to go from A to B. That's a bus. And it is going to change. Technology's moving on. The future is some people think the future is electric. I'm not too sure. We'll wait to see, I think.
But I think, Russ, you'll have seen the changes in your year in journalism.
Yeah, I mean, just over the last year or two, I mean, the absolute hatred for diesels, where we were all encouraged to buy them in the 90s, and now they're the devil's work. I mean, and I think it all started with the VW debacle.
That's right,
and it's escalated so quickly.
But I think the one thing that we want to do now is, this all started with the drawing in the sand, and I think it's quite a good time now, 70 years later, and that's what we're celebrating at the moment this year, 70 years of Land Rover, and I think it's kind of time to draw a new line in the sand. But more importantly, to mark what's happened up till now. And one of the things we've noticed is there's a lot of, obviously, some fantastic journalistic work gone on. There are some records, but there's no real 100% record of people that we've talked to, who are the people about, and the journalists of today, the movers, shakers, and that's what we want to cover at this show. Is we're going to be interviewing Dave's really chuffed with this, aren't you, Dave?
The famous people.
The
Yeah, there
famous
are.
people.
We've lost a few.
Yep.
But
It's time to capture
people
them.
have driven onwards, and we need to recapture all that.
And make another mark in the sand. These are the people that are making it happen right now, whether it's in the industry, whether it's in journalism, whether it's in competition, in expedition, and we've got a raft of vehicles to show that. So what we thought we'd do would be, this started another saga for the show. I said I need the bottom of a Land Rover door. After much hunting and searching around and all sorts of conversations, John Bowden, who is a very dear, very old friend, wonderful chap, we call him Sir John, he calls me Buttface. It's great. That's true.
Do we have why?
Few could get away with that.
So we do got terribly well, honestly. But John provided me with a lovely Series 186-inch door, which he has now signed. So we'll do his interview later. But during the weekend, we're going to bring in the elders, the experts. We've got people like Michael Bishop here, James Taylor. It's incredible. And do a 3 or 5 minute interview with them. Ask them a few questions. It'll be really quick fire round, a bit like they do on the desk on TV. Yeah. And then we're going to get them to sign the door. And we've also got Dave Mitchell.
Have you seen the price of a Series 1 door?
I know.
You're very honoured.
I can't believe it. I'm so over the moon. Kind thing to do, but equally as importantly, when I asked, I said, John, the only problem is I'm going to be at Gaydon and your door is down at Sussex. How are we going to get it back up? So Gumtree 4x4, of course, deal with Britpart. We get a call from Paul Myers, Britpart, collect it for you, take it up there. He's delivered it here. It's so kind of these, and these are all people who are themselves legends in Land Rover. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah, exactly. They are the driving forces, and we need to record all this before it's all lost.
Exactly. So we're going to have to interview Paul Myers, he's wriggling a little to get out of it, but I will capture him somewhere and get him to sign the door. But throughout the weekend, people like Russ Brown, Dave Barker, everybody who's here and who is...
And yourself.
Well, I might sign it. I'm a worthy.
Yeah, well, you're not retired yet.
Well, I am sort of. And for those who say, well, I thought she'd really well retired last year. I did, yeah. You're absolutely right, I did. I hoped, yeah. And I've only come back for this for 2 reasons. One was we really wanted to celebrate the 70th, and I felt I'd like to be part of that. And also, what I did realise was that this really is exactly 30 years since I picked up the microphone with the All-Wheel Drive Club and started doing their commentary. And that's what's given me one of the world's best ever careers. I could never have asked for more. And it's been so exciting and so brilliant. So I just kind of wanted to be part of showing 70 years of Land Rover as well as a swan song, darlings.
And also another significant milestone, the All-Wheel Drive Club's 50th anniversary.
It is this year, yeah. And that, so for me, there were all these bits together, and I thought, yeah, that works. So yeah, we've got the All-Wheel Drive Club, we've got Lightweight, we've got Series 2, we've got the Scottish Land Rover Owners Club, and Steph, if you do get to see this, Steph Hunter, Steph's been so much part of this show as well. They had a fabulous trip to Islay. We'd love to have gone on it. Emrys Kirby, who's here too, he went, and he's going to tell us all about that trip in the arena during the weekend as well, and sign the door too. So, but so much. I
did my first off-roading in Islay.
Did you?
Yeah, in a Suzuki SJ. For my sins.
Oh, well, gee, there you go. Well, interestingly, it's a very long story, and it does connect with Land Rover and of course the Wilkes with Islay, but we'll leave Emrys to tell that, but that's going to be hopefully filmed as well. So we have our programme, so we feel very posh with our programmes now. Dave, have you got your certificates of merit?
I've got my certificates of merit.
Yeah, so we're going to be giving these out. Okay, there you go. Now don't look, because my nails are dirty. I'm in set-up mode. Don't get too close.
There's been no makeup, has there? Makeup teams.
I thought we were doing makeup before this.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, hair and makeup,
It's beyond that for me, I tell you. Okay. And the programme, yeah. Do you want to do? Pass it over?
No, can you get them at the gate? I think they get them when they arrive, I believe.
Yeah, they're going to come in as they're coming through the top entrance. And you'll notice...
And you could walk around with your programme and get autographs from the
legends.
From the legends.
Mike Gould's going to be here. Just everybody. I mean, Russ, it reads like a who's who, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, and this year it should, shouldn't it? Absolutely. And, I mean, you're talking about, we flippantly say 70th anniversary, but if you think about who would have bought at the first Land Rover, they would have been in their 20s and 30s. So there'll be a 90 or 100 by now. Yeah, there's going to be very few left.
Well, Well,
Yeah,
we've got
very much so.
somebody coming over, Carla over here from Western Australia, the Land Rover group. She's over here to celebrate her 70th. Of course, we've got Pip from the Freelander crew, who's got her brand new baby, and that was another weird one. I put out a course.
As in a squealing type baby.
A proper
Yes,
one.
yeah.
So did anybody happen to have a baby for this show? Don't go too far, Dan. You're coming in.
It was a very odd Facebook post.
It was.
Has anybody got a door or a baby?
Yeah.
And obviously there was 5 people in a row who said, door for what?
Exactly, yeah. And then finally somebody, well, I'm having a baby. Great. Will it be before? So, yeah, we got the great news that Lucian had been born, I think it's about 3 weeks ago now, so he's going to be our Land Rover baby with Carla, who's celebrating her 70th. We've also, one of my favourite bits, of course, Land Rover launched 1948 Amsterdam. We have the Dutch crew over here, the Dutch Land Rover crew. There's so many of them come over in force, and it's a beautiful sight. Not only that, they have one of the original banners,
yeah, which is incredible.
from the launch. I just think that's incredible. So this, for me, this show, hopefully, is going to encompass everything and really celebrate 70 years of Land Rover. It's great.
Yes, yeah, I'm just thinking, that was probably was probably the first time anyone saw the word Land Rover at the Amsterdam show. Up until that, there wasn't a Land Rover. Yeah, it was the Rover company had produced this vehicle, and there's a big banner there saying Land Rover.
Yeah. And if you travel around the States, it's still a Rover.
Yeah, as in Australia.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They still regard them as Rovers, but that will be the first time that word will have been in public display.
Yeah.
The Land Rover didn't
And
exist
think of all the other
until
things
then.
they might have called it.
Yeah, yeah. But,
It's coming that
incredible.
it's all part of Land Rover history, and on that subject, she says, swinging into action with a box here. One of the highlights of the show that's been developing over the last few years, with the help, of course, of Quizmaster Dave Barker. This year we have the most beautiful, and if I can hold that up, Giles, can you see that one there? There we go. If I hold that up, I'm frightened to death of dropping it. One gorgeous glass trophy for the winners of the Land Rover Academician of the Year.
How much do you get for you've been framed these days?
Don't even say. I'm frightened to death it's going to fall out. So our winners this year get a superb trophy. Dave Barker, you've been setting the questions. How do you do it? How do you do that?
You rely on other people writing books that have all the information. Yeah, it's
And assume they know what they're talking about.
we won't go there. But there is an instance where somebody gave me a question, and then I double checked it, and the book had it as 2 different things. And the author tells me no one's ever noticed it before. So,
Priceless, isn't it?
And we've also got that unanswered question that you were asking me earlier. You could make that one interactive and chuck it out there. See if someone knows.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Very interesting. Actually, and I do need to know before tomorrow morning.
And this is a classic because this is the kind of information that's being lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there'll be people out there going, well, I knew that. But actually, I've asked about 15 people here, and we all know, but we don't know. And the question is, when they did that original drawing of the Land Rover in the sand, and they'd taken a Jeep down and looked at it and thought, right, let's make something like that. There's the basis of it.
When they built the centre steer.
Yeah. Which Jeep was it? Which Jeep was
Yeah.
it? And none of us could be quite sure. We're all frightened to say because we might be wrong now.
A lot of people will just say it's a Willys Jeep because that was the generic.
Yeah.
But it could have been a Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody we've asked has said definitely, and they've all said no, don't know. Just know it's a Jeep for sure.
Jeep.
So we're probably completely showing our ignorance, and that's fine because we're allowed to. We all keep on learning all the time.
There are pictures of it. So
Yeah.
I'm sure some Jeep
and
expert
I can
will
see
tell us.
it, and I think it's got that tubular bar round, which would make it the Willys. Is that right?
I'm no Jeep expert.
I think
No,
so.
I'm not.
But I think
But
if it's
yes.
got the tubular bar, I think it's the Willys. If it hasn't, it's got the flat
It's-
front. Then that would be the Ford. And I think it's got
would
the tubular, but I
suspect-
can't swear to it.
I would suspect it'd be a Ford.
Yeah,
somehow,
you see,
but I don't know.
I'm
Just
erring on
because of-
Willys. But
It's here and yeah.
yeah, but we
maybe.
don't know. So the question
Yeah.
is, anybody out there, can you tell us for sure which Jeep was it that they used to make the first design of the Land Rover? For sure, without doubt, definitive answer. Definitely, and also
With evidence.
with evidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is I think it's really interesting, and it's funny how you think you know these things, and when it comes to it, can you say 100% for sure No, you can't.
Which it was.
Intriguing, isn't it? So we're going to wait for, where's our Dan gone? He's going to come in a minute. We're going to get his view on a few bits of the show. But Giles, during the weekend as well, I think we're going to be going live at various points, aren't we? So are people going to be able to ask questions and mention things? Oh, we can't. Oh, right. I thought you had your speaker. So Giles is saying yes, they can. So we'll be able to do live streams. People will be able to send in questions, and you can ask any of our experts anything you want to do, or if you've got anything that you'd like to mention, like which Jeep it was. Perfect.
Yeah.
Then do feel free to email those in or message.
Then Dave will start writing his book.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. Was it a
So
Jeep?
if Dan's ready, somebody give him Giles. Can you give Dan a nudge see if he wants to come in and add his sixpenneth? And Emrys Kirby will be joining us as well.
Daniel.
So we'll have a quick changeover of chatterboxes.
And we'll let them carry on, yes.
It's like loose Land Rover people, this one, isn't it?
Well, it is, yes.
Okay, so we've got Emrys Kirby coming in. We've got Dan.
Shall we
They've been into makeup.
Changeover.
Have you had makeup done?
Hello, sir.
So Emrys Kirby and Dan, do you want to come and switch with Russ?
Take a seat, have a mic.
Come and keep the seat warm.
Marvellous, thank you.
We're live. We're absolutely full on live, my lovely. So Emrys Kirby on my right and Dan Warden on my left.
Hello.
Now, we've been talking with Russ and Dave about all sorts of things that have been going on, what we're going to be doing for the show, what's happening. One of the things we mentioned, Emrys, was the fact that Scottish Land Rover Owners Club, oldest club that we know of, with original written minutes of their first meeting in 1958, which makes them 60 years old this year. You had a little trip with them. We're going to do most of it in the arena, so don't tell everybody all of it. But to celebrate their anniversary, they went out to Islay and you went with them. It was extraordinary to see. Just tell us just a little snippet about it.
Yeah, so the Scottish Land Rover Club, founded in 1958, so celebrating their 60th anniversary this year. They wanted to go to Islay because Islay is a significant place in Land Rover history. The story is that the Wilkes had an estate there and tested some of their vehicles there.
Absolutely true as well. And it was Steph Hunter and her crew that organised it. And we saw all the Facebook pictures. It was quite extraordinary. One of the pinnacles was that it wasn't just a trip. You did pick up a few things en route as well.
Yes, am I allowed to say what we picked up?
I think so, because I think it'd be nice when we do the reveal in the arena.
So we picked up not only a very special cake, but a bottle of whiskey from a barrel of 60 bottles, which was specially commissioned for the Scottish Land Rover Club trip.
And it's just beautiful. It is really special as well. During the weekend, if I can find my raffle tickets, sorry Steph, I've forgotten them, so I will find some. We will be raffling tickets for them, and they'll be taken up and you'll be launching it, because of course, Emrys, you're going to be taking over the Scottish Land Rover show.
I will be indeed, and this is the only bottle available to the public that is being raffled, so a very special bottle indeed.
Russ is ordering tickets already, look. Absolutely. So there's going to be a lot more of that story in the arena as well. Dan, you're here with some fabulous vehicles, and I think your story really starts with some of the electricity vehicles, stuff like that, vehicles that were used for utility purposes, and that's really grown hugely, hasn't it?
I think interest in it perhaps has. Yeah. There's a few knocking about. I'm trying to persuade people to sort of, think about liveries and colour schemes and this kind of thing, and kind of a little bit of an homage to that as well, because 1948 is also when the electricity boards were all formed.
How interesting.
So, there's a little bit of a parallel there.
Absolutely.
And because we're very big users of Land Rovers, but there's my SEB one, there's two other SEB ones here. There's an East Midlands electric vehicle, which is quite interesting. The one that's coming, another chap that's here with an SEB one, he drove the EMEB one when he was an apprentice. So he hasn't seen this vehicle for
do love a reunion.
Years. So there's these little, these nice sort of little coincidences that are going on.
There's a lot of those throughout as well, because we've got reunion of the 50-50 crew, we've got Trekking, we've got hopefully Pollyanna turning up, we've got Oxford's here, just so many vehicles. Of the ones that are going to be arriving in the arena, which one have you got the most interest in, Dan?
Oh, crikey!
Think, Emrys, because you'll be next.
I don't know. I mean, you've got Emrys' stage. Is yours
yeah.
the earliest stage one?
It's the
Or
earliest,
the earliest
it's
known still.
the earliest stage one that's still on the road.
So it's
There
the earliest
may
still
well
on the
be
road.
one more.
So we've got that. We've got Oxford here. Obviously, I have had a brief look over Oxford before, but it'll be nice to sort of see Oxford. And other than that, it's whatever turns up. I mean, it's just. I think you were saying we've got over 400.
Over 400 static vehicles for
Yeah,
display,
so
and
some of
that's
the
just in the display park.
Some of the vehicles that could turn up. I don't know. I mean, it's like what
it's
are
a
we
journalist's
gonna get?
dream,
I mean,
isn't it?
I kind of I was like, wow, when I turned up and there's the 129 prototype, which is you can't see it, it's the other side of here. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, great to see that out, and the llama.
The llama, what a rare vehicle! What a rare, it's really important that that's actually been bought out and shown as well.
Fantastic.
I mean, that's special.
Looking forward to that.
Got a mudlark here too.
Brill.
Love the
Yep.
mudlarks. We've got a champ as well, just to add a little
And a
bit to it.
jeep.
So yeah, and a jeep. So it's
Yep.
it's kind of setting the scene for those eras, and I think that's really important as well to show not just where Land Rover came from, you know, with the designs and drawings, what they were up against, and the other vehicles that took them on, and Land Rover just came fighting through the whole way.
Yep. Yeah, it's certainly good to see Land Rovers in context and, like you say, vehicles that were available at the same
Have
time.
we got any gypsies?
Not this year. Sadly not this year. We did last year, but this year. Well, having said that, who knows? But might turn up tomorrow.
Shout out for a gypsy then.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
That'd be fun, and it is really good because it sets the scene. Because on the Sunday we've got the decade by decade, and you two are going to be taking a couple of the decades to take the mics for. So we're going to introduce it with the music of the era. We'll say a few bits about who was Prime Minister. We'll just set the scene, and rather than doing it each series 1, series 2, we're going to do it by the decades because I think that shows better the style changes and the development design changes. 70s, you just know you're going to get a bit more sort of angular-y, and sort of like the 40s have got their own real look about them. Still a little bit the old crop sprayer somewhere going on there, isn't there? With that lovely round front lines and things, a little bit streamlined somewhere. There's some, and you can really see it as it comes on through. And then when we get up to the noughties and the onesies, the difference is going to be phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, you'll certainly see the technology coming through on the vehicles. So moving from mechanical to electronic vehicles.
And that's where we're saying about the real line in the sand, isn't it? And I think it is a really good show to put that fresh line in the sand, record up to this point as many people like yourselves who are the movers and shakers at the moment, the generations coming behind our crew, thus lot, which is everyone's going out now, retiring. Oh. Honestly, this time, genuinely.
Until next year.
So you're going to be the crews taking over as we all sort of fade out. And
Are we?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Dan.
First I've heard of this.
Your name's Dan.
You're
Just
in
some
now.
bloke with a Land Rover. Now this is all happened.
You've been bought in, I'm afraid. That's it. But it's true, and you're the people that would take Land Rover forward. And that's why we're bringing young Lucian, who's this year's baby. That's going to be the generations after, isn't it? And I think it's going to be really interesting to see where that goes. But what's your view on the future of Land Rover? Dare I ask?
I'm an historian. My answer's going to be I'm an historian.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
It is. Look, I mean, I bought one of not one of the very last, but a late Defender. I treated myself to a Defender for my 30th birthday, so it's just coming up to 7 years old. And that, for me, that's kind of where I draw the line. That's my line. That came to an end. That's it, and that's what I enjoy. And it is, and I think it's one of these. If I drive down the road in my Defender, other Defenders will wave, Series wave, everything else. I don't get some. What are they calling the new one a Velar or a Velar? Did they decide?
That argument's ancient. That goes
Yeah.
right back,
But
doesn't it?
I see these machines, and it's like, okay, I can appreciate it. From an engineering point of view, they're phenomenal bits of kit. They really, really are. But the people, they don't wave at me in a Defender. I don't think they really realise they're from the same company. So I think it's. I question: is it a line in the sand, or is it a divide? Actually, commercially.
Oh, like that.
Interesting.
Has one era ended, and then we've got something completely. Well, is it? Am I right to say completely separate? Well, it's not completely separate, but certainly very distinct.
It's definitely. I like that.
Because for me, Land Rover always, when they've been described, it you read all the books. It was a light utility vehicle that was in there as a description. The new vehicle, or the current vehicles, I should say, are not. None of them have any pretense of being. Is there still? I think there is still a Discovery commercial, isn't there?
There is, there is, yeah.
So that's the only one that still kind of holds the Land Rover title as well, isn't it? But I've got to be. I kind of crossed the line a little bit, and I got a foot in both camps because
me too.
My absolute ultimate vehicle, and everybody's going to really think this is really weird. I've got my Freelander. Came into Freelander, said, I love my Freelander, and it was Julian Lamb that said to me, and I found it riveting. And this was only a couple of years ago. We had all the Freelanders in. I said, "What's the pull for you of Freelanders, Julian?" He said, "Well, really, this is when Suzuki, Daihatsu, they were all coming out with these fabulous little vehicles that took on the old 80-inch look, the look, the style. You know, it kind of tried to take that on." And I said, "But Land Rover never did they?" And he said, "Yes, they did. They brought out the Freelander."
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? You're absolutely right. And when you really take a close look, and I've got one now, I just looked at it and I thought, he's spot on. Take the back off the mark of the wands, and it's just belting. It does everything. It's small, it's cute, it's very nippy, very capable off-road. It absolutely is. And then when you take the back off, you've got the best fun vehicle ever. And they're really coming through. But my ultimate has got to be an Evoque. I just would love an Evoque. I think the design, the styling on that is something that was a whole new level, and people who know me will love this. It was a complete game changer.
Yeah,
they are great machines. I've had, dare I say, we might.
Seriously, hang on.
I have a friend, well, we all have a friend who his mother-in-law has one, and she absolutely hates it. Absolutely loathes it because she can't get the shopping in it. She goes to the shops and she can't get 2 shopping bags in the back of the Evoque soft top. So when it's up for sale, I've put Diana's name on it for her, and it's orange as well. It's orange as well. Yeah.
Orange
Orange.
is the best colour, without a doubt.
Tangier's orange.
Tangier orange. Yep.
Yep. Lovely, thank you for that, Dave.
Was I going to say?
Don't
Yeah,
give me piggy banks, I'm going to need to. Yeah.
The Evoque and the Freelander 2, I had both as loan cars when my Defender. Well, when let's say the dealer needed to have a look at it, put it that way. Mine's actually been really, really good. My Defender. You know, it's never broken down. It has been really solid, but it has had little bits. But I had Freelander 2 for a couple of weeks. Yeah, and it does leak a little bit, so they weren't fixing that one. But I always thought the Freelander 2, weirdly enough, always reminded me of the old original Range Rover.
It is, yeah.
Interesting.
You're right.
Weird. And the Evoque was very much its own thing, but they both were very, very good.
Well, the later of the ones, and we'll have Shell and Tony Porter in tomorrow, big Freelander party at the end of tomorrow. Loads of them here. It's a fantastic lineup. When you talk to them, one of the reasons I really went for the one was they said the later ones were all but 2s in anything but the actual coating, and it is I just love it. Having I've had to switch to autos, and I really don't like autos ever so much. I did like my manuals, but I've got to go, and so getting used to this Freelander Auto, it's been an absolute eye-opener. Actually, I'm really beginning to enjoy it. But I'm going to leave you to have a little chat with Dave Barker now, who's going to take over from me and slip into my seat. So I'll jump up and just carry on talking about the show, and I'm going to move out the way. Do you want me to leave you any notes? Are you okay?
No, we'll wing it as normal. Yes.
Make some up.
Keep flapping.
I must admit, I'd never thought of the Freelander 2 as a Range Rover, but now you've said that, you're dead right.
Well,
that's why I like mine
I
so
drove
much.
it.
Yeah,
Excuse me, I drove it, and the size of it, the width, the size, the proportions.
Yeah, you're dead
It
right.
doesn't. I'm not saying it looks like one, of course, but it's that type of vehicle, because I was amazed how big it is. This is a Freelander 2 of a similar. It is actually quite a big car and a very, very good car, as was the Evoque. They don't do for me what I want a vehicle to do for me. That's why I have a Defender. But I totally get why someone will go and buy one.
Yeah,
no question.
The brand has the Land Rover brand has definitely changed, and I think Land Rover have realised it is very important to celebrate the heritage of the brand, and we can certainly see with the Jaguar Land Rover Classic that the heritage is ever so important now, and you can certainly spend significant money on an absolutely beautiful reborn vehicle. So I think it is very important to JLR themselves that the heritage is celebrated.
Yeah, it is.
And going from it's a bit in the middle where it was a little bit dodgy, nobody quite knew where we were going, and now like you say,
the BMW age
yeah.
was possibly one that will be forgotten in history, but the Ford influence certainly improved Land Rover, definitely.
Yeah.
Where Ford really hit it on the nail. The Freelander 2 is a Ford, and it was certainly vast improved on what came before it.
Because TDCI and the Defender as well.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well,
Which actually, I see a lot of people think, oh, the TDI and the TD5. I mean, I've driven all of them. I wouldn't swap one for a TDCI. If I want to go, hacking across Europe, I'm doing it in a Puma.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to a TD5 or a TDI.
I think everybody has a favourite Land Rover engine. Mine is a 2.25 petrol, but I don't really like the fuel consumption. After that, it's a V8. And if I'm being sensible,
let's have a V8. You might
we'll have a V8 because it sounds fabulous.
Sounds nice.
But
that was one where Quantum Leap. When that V8 came out, that first V8 3.5 came out, it just changed everything, especially on the sports side. If you watch it from the sports side, it just changed everything.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and I'm lucky enough to own certainly the oldest known Stage 1 on the road. And of course that was a Series 3 with the 3.5 V8 in.
Fantastic. It's just a brilliant vehicle. Oh, got me a mic. See, I can't shut up for 2 minutes.
Somebody said they were retiring.
Charles just popped me in a fresh mic.
Bring the extra seat out.
You still have a weekend.
Yeah.
But it is true, in talking about sort of how these vehicles have changed, that's what this show is going to be about. So we're going to be looking for sort of all the major changes, more fascia styles so that we can actually see them in the arena. But when you look back at the start and you see them now, the differences are just amazing. They're beyond the pale. When you look at it, compared a Series 1 to an Evoque now, just, it is incredible, isn't it?
It is.
Go, Dan.
Well,
Sorry.
He's popular.
They're seeing you on TV now. That's what it is.
That's it.
Sorry, I didn't.
It is.
Sorry about this.
So great Land Rover.
This is like hot seating. Am I allowed to say that? That's wrong, isn't it? I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Why? Is that okay? I don't know.
I don't know.
Carry on, move on.
It's great. The heritage is
Moving on.
coming back, and whether that was a bit of a Jaguar incentive, because Jaguar always seemed to have a lot more about their heritage than Land Rover did, and if that's rubbed off that way, that's great.
Yeah. I do think as well that because times have changed, you can see, and it probably is because I'm knocking on a bit now, but and it's true, because it's the first time I've really noticed not only a difference in the cars but in people as well. And there is a genuine,
yes,
and it's
definitely.
really funny. I shouldn't tell you this because it actually destroy my career in one word here. But I was doing an event not very long ago, and I was with other commentators, and they were doing hey, this dude is a gnarly course, and all this stuff, and they sound fantastic doing it. And somebody said round the corner, I heard somebody say, "Oh gosh, this is like BBC quality broadcast." I thought, great. That's a real compliment. And then I heard afterwards what they meant was that I sounded to them old-fashioned speak.
Oh, splendid,
splendid
what?
one.
The Queen's English, what?
Exactly. And what they were so used to was the gnarly, brutal bits. And there's me going, this is very excited. And it just sounds all wrong. And it's not because I've got I just don't have an accent.
Yeah.
It's just that I speak different. And I remember now hearing people talking, from the old BBC, and I used to think, don't they speak properly? Isn't that lovely?
Absolutely.
And now I'm old school.
Yep.
Well, if you heard the interview on Radio 2 the first Overland.
Oh, yes.
When they did the commentary from
Yeah.
that.
Pathy Newspeak.
Yes,
It's fabulous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we all look at
Incredible,
that and we think that sounds really old-fashioned. Now I sound really old-fashioned, and that was a real wake-up call. I thought, crikey, this is really crikey.
So in
Crikey.
30 years' time,
Yeah.
Yes.
and people look back on this,
Yeah, and I tell you,
maybe we will sound retro.
exactly.
Yeah, you
But
know,
there'll be
that'd be-
Tills tease if Tills is ever watching this, she'll know exactly what I mean because she said it to me. She said, "You do come out with some funny words."
Spiffing, splendid and
Spiffing,
crikey.
well,
Hey,
you know.
what?
So I do think, this is definitely responsible.
One went
I
to
think
private school,
probably good.
public
But-
school. I suppose,
one didn't. One only did
No,
grammar.
no,
Dan, do you want to
Yeah.
jump back in here? You can-
Oh, I can stand here.
No, you come back in here.
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
you take that one. That's it. Switch over.
Thank
There's a
you.
lot of hot miking going on.
Yeah.
Hot
Yeah,
seating.
I think that
Oh,
language does give us a bit of an insight into how the vehicles have changed. You know, if we're going from newsreel speak in the late 40s, 50s, even into the 60s, and then if we look at Land Rover adverts from the 80s, even there it's still slightly retro. And I
Yeah.
guess we will look back on adverts of the current era and go, my goodness.
Well, we're slightly retro, aren't we? Really, let's be honest about it.
Yes.
We're,
Well, they're
Yes.
the dudes, these
Yeah.
two. It's
well,
me and me,
yeah,
David.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
For,
Hipsters, darling,
for,
hipsters.
40 is a new 30.
You're young, you're young.
Yeah.
Maybe reflecting on that though, we might look at current vehicles and think they are very modern, but I'm just looking across here. I can see two Range Rover P38s,
Yeah.
which were exceptionally
38
ahead of the
A's,
time.
Come on.
P38As, I do beg
38
your pardon.
A's.
I-
Never appear.
Well,
I-
take
it's
the office.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peter, and that
Yeah.
was a concept vehicle. I mean, there was I think it was hundreds of thousands budget with Noel
Just
Evans
a-
when he did that, and that in its day that was epically, monumentally futuristic. It had cameras inside. It had VHS recorders.
And a
You
fax
could go
machine.
global.
fax machine.
Yeah, exactly. But you
Yeah.
could go global on the internet then, which was so new, and so this was such high tech stuff, and now it's kind of like VHS.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
that was just an amazing transformation, and that's what I'm saying is when the people now who are going out starting to look at cars, they're buying their first major car, they're maybe 28, 29. These cars are fantastic. Ours look like really old cars, and that's the difference, isn't it? So it's us that's kind of falling back a little bit. Well, not you two so much, but me. That we're sort of, and these new drivers are looking for something that fits their lifestyle. Well, our Defenders and Land Rovers don't do that, but
No,
some of these
that's
cars
right.
do.
Yeah, I think you will very often find though if somebody has one of the modern Land Rover products, they may well also have a classic Land Rover product as well.
Yeah,
And
it does happen. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, definitely, which they can't do with many other cars.
But that
Very
won't,
true.
and
You
that
can have
won't
a
happen forever because you can't
interactive
afford those
Vauxhall,
now,
but
do it?
you don't go and buy 1920s Vauxhall or whatever, do you?
An old school Viva.
Old school
Well,
Viva.
Viva
Yeah,
has
are
come
there any
back as,
left?
as,
Yeah, well,
as,
yeah,
as a
it's
name.
It is
The name,
total
yeah.
new car, isn't
It
it?
is,
It's like
yeah.
a little
Very small.
funny. It's a bit like a
Yeah.
micro.
Actually, I think if we look back at the old Viva, it was probably even smaller.
Probably.
a bit like the original
Yeah.
Golf.
But then I saw a Mini coming up the motorway today. It was enormous. Where's that?
Not a
from?
Mini.
Not a Mini, not
So
a
we
Mini
think
Mini.
Land Rovers
Yeah.
have changed. Other vehicles are a whole new ball game. So for tomorrow, then, what are the highlights you're looking forward to most?
It has to be seeing the Land Rovers, doesn't it?
Just
All the it's
a feast of Land
yeah,
Rovers.
it's a feast of Land Rovers. There are so many.
Yeah.
Each is individual.
Smorgasbord of
and
Land
each is unique in its own right, and special.
I think we're going to be mesmerised just with how many significant vehicles there are. I was talking to Dan earlier that, well, that's the first vehicle of that type, and
Yeah.
that's the first vehicle of that type,
Yeah.
and that was the Oxford-Cambridge vehicle, and that was Pollyanna. It is stunning. You'd maybe expect to see one significant vehicle in a show, but now we're seeing multitudes of them.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed. I got 8, 9, maybe 10 one-tonners here, which no one's ever done that before.
No, that's right.
And of those, 2 of them are unique. They're one's a Spencer cherry picker, the other's a Simon cherry picker. There are other Land Rovers with that kit on, but not 1-tonners. So it's like Emrys was kind of driving it. It's like you could put, oh, that's unique. There's only one of those. There's quite a lot of that.
And you're introducing a couple into the arena.
I am. Yeah, my big area of interest is early coil spring Land Rovers, and we set up a group called the Stage 2 Register, and we have a significant number of very special vehicles, genuinely the first of their kind, which will be revealed tomorrow when they arrive.
Fantastic. It's just a great show. I think we're all looking forward to it, and I think we've got 2 days, like we said, pure Land Rover Fest all the way. You know, if you're coming looking for parts, no, all you're going to do is just enjoy Land Rovers with this and see them in their glory, celebrate the anniversaries. And then on Sunday, the Decade by Decade display, where a lot of our crews are all dressing up to the age or use of the vehicle. That's going to be quite spectacular as well, I think. And then the saga of the cakes coming to a culmination at the end, and a real party to celebrate. So I think we've got loads to look
And we have
forward
a
to.
special word for the show, don't we?
We do.
We have a new word Diana's learned.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Do tell.
The,
Well, this
Yes.
was started with the cake as well. We've
Cakes.
got cake coming from Holland, and we had to describe the cake, and I've forgotten the word.
It's like knock and naggle. Neck and naggle. Clink and naggle.
Klinknagel. Klinknagel. That's
Klinknagel.
Which
It sounds like it's come from Harry Potter.
it does, doesn't it? Exactly. It's the Dutch word for rivet. So we're all
Fantastic.
Klinknagel counters. I love it.
Klinknagel.
It's one of the best words I've learned. I thought it was fabulous. So the cakes will be great. And we're going to have a massive family of Land Rover cakes and put them all together, tie a big green ribbon around them, and then celebrate Land Rover from all aspects. We've got them from Scotland, Australia, Holland, all over the place, all the different clubs, G4, Mini-Me's, Stage, everybody. Did we get a 1-ton cake, Dan? Just saying.
Today's the first I've heard
Grab
of
a muffin.
cakes.
Oh, we've only had it on Facebook for about
Imagine
3
a
months.
1-ton cake.
Absolutely.
I had one.
In fact,
Cool.
maybe.
Yeah.
My 30th birthday, I had one.
Really?
Yeah.
You see, you could have saved it.
Well, how many cakes are coming? We might have a ton's weight
We could have tons
in
weight in
cake.
cakes. That'll sort you out, Dan. We've also got
not
for the
say anything about
littlies.
Diana's cooking.
No, don't even go there, Dave.
but
Yeah, don't even go there. No, sorry. We've got oh no, I've lost my thread. Look, yeah, we've got that's all right. We've got Veronica Lamond coming as well with the Mini-Me's, and going back to who's driving what cars, what people are looking for in this day and age. With the Mini-Me's coming, that is the next generation as well. And that I think that's going to be really interesting to see. So maybe when you're in there with them, Emrys, because you'll be doing that with Dave Barker as well, maybe you could ask them which cars they like. That might be
ooh,
quite
that's an idea.
interesting,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I like
Well,
that
they'll
idea.
have been brainwashed and they'll all say Land Rovers, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a Mini-Me Evoque would be pretty cool, though.
there are some out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
There are
Yeah, we've
coming
had
out
one.
there.
Yeah.
I was
I'm
thinking
sure
that
we have. Yeah.
I need to somehow acquire some children to grow up and drive my fleet.
You do, Dan. You do. We're gonna
Can you edit it that bit, Giles? please? Don't think
well, I don't know. I found one for the show. You know.
Right, well, yeah.
It happens. Yeah. no,
The next generation
Sponsor them.
is vitally important.
No,
Well,
right.
I can't drive.
Dan, we're going to have to find you a very
Five-
lovely lady
five
first. We've got to
vehicles.
do this in the
Yeah,
right
I can't
order.
drive 5 Land Rovers at once.
Okay, ladies.
No.
We need we need you.
So, man making windy sounds here.
Yeah, we were going
So
to
I think we're
Are we winding?
winding.
done a brilliant job today.
Oh, right.
45 minutes we've been.
Oh, right.
45 minutes of news and comment.
I was just about
Fantastic.
We haven't
I was just
started.
about to launch my Lonely Land Rover Hearts page.
You've only got one person to
one
sign up,
that,
it's me.
Hey, listen, they've had
There
what
must
did they
be
call?
others out there.
What's Oh, God, I'm going to come round. I'm going to interview
Come
Dan
on
actually
round.
quietly because has anybody seen? I'm sorry. Has anybody seen this latest program, Love in the Country?
No,
And
I
it's-
don't.
Oh,
I don't watch TV.
Okay, so there's the first question. What other interests do you have, Dan?
Overhead power lines.
Yeah.
Apart from
Yeah.
1 tons.
Crime
Scandinavian-
spotting and
Scandinavian interest.
well,
and-
there is things.
Yeah, various things.
Films and
What's
music and
yeah,
books.
it's not what's in Chelsea, is it? You know,
Hey, I like that.
I've never,
Made in Chelsea,
never
fabulous.
seen it.
No, I've never watched it.
No.
Love it.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
Help.
It's called. There's a program called Lovely
If
Country.
you can
It's for
help,
farmers.
Please send your name and address.
Oh, okay.
And
Very
it's fabulous.
soon.
So anyway, Dan needs help.
Oh, thanks. Really selling me.
And if you have a Land Rover as well,
Even
you know,
better.
it'd be
Well,
even
no,
better.
I've got enough.
Well,
I
you never
don't
know,
need any
you know.
more. Something else would be nice. Old dirt Beetle would be nice.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
like that.
The thing is, look, the correct number of Land Rovers is the number of Land Rovers you have now plus one
Oh,
at all times.
that's good,
Right.
Everest.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
could be.
Plus one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
depends what's been.
Yeah, I'm going for 7 plus 1 at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
I've
know
only
what.
got
I don't know
3.
what my. If I could have all the ones I want, I don't know what the total would be. It's about 10. But then there are other things I want as well, like my Russian.
Your
Dubry I was telling you
UAS,
about,
yeah.
Oh, the US. We've got one of
UAS.
those
US.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one of
Yeah,
those
well,
coming.
yeah. I mean, it's like a different type one, but
Oh,
yeah,
right,
same
okay.
manufacturer.
Is that right? Okay. Sorry, I thought I'd just solved everything
Yeah,
there.
well, nearly. But
What you really want's a Russian lady with one.
Ooh, now there's an idea.
Oh,
No
now we
objection.
could.
There probably is a website for that.
There probably is.
I've no particular requests as to nationality.
Well, your Russian wasn't too hot, to be honest, Dan.
I only know 2 words. No, 3 maybe.
Yeah.
One of
4?
those is vodka.
Yeah.
And vodka, that's 5.
Excellent.
Vodka is 5.
Excellent.
He's waving his fingers at us
Well,
again.
I think
That mean we've got to go.
it is, yeah.
Why
I
not?
think we've got a great show lined up, and we look forward to seeing everybody there. We will
Absolutely.
do some more live
Get down to
streams.
Gaydon.
Yep.
Lots
It-
of interviews.
Enjoy the weekend.
And Dave, Emrys and Dan will be taking on the commentary. I'll be taking a bit of a back seat, which should be great. But loads of prizes, loads of certificates. So make sure you come down and join in. And we'll see you in the arena from 10 o'clock live. But from Dan Warden, Dave Barker, Emrys Kirby and myself, we'll see you tomorrow at Gaydon Land Rover Show 2018, celebrating 70 years of Land Rover. See you then.
See you then.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.